that they plant these certain reports or they say these certain things, and you do hear the word arrogant. Why is he arrogant? Because he won't walk into the meeting and bend the knee, or he won't sit in the meeting and question himself or his abilities or his knowledge and experience in the game. I don't believe that that's arrogance. I want a quarterback that's self-assured. I want a quarterback that could cut the film on, and when you ask him a question about why did you make this mistake, or why did you make this throw, or why was this the right read, I want him to be able to regurgitate that to me like he's in the play at the moment, the same way a coach or an offense coordinator would, because that's what he's going to have to do.
What if I told you Coach Prime just got smacked with a truth bomb so hot, even his designer shades couldn't hide the smoke? Ryan Clark didn't just spill tea, he tossed the whole kettle straight onto the Sanders hype machine, and now the timeline's in full meltdown. Is the so-called Golden Boy slipping? Is the NFL actually ghosting the Prime dynasty before it even starts? This ain't your regular draft drama. This is primetime chaos, and it's spiraling fast. Picture it. The dream script where Shedeur Sanders walks into the NFL draft like the hero of a movie, confetti raining down, his pops Deion cheesing in Versace glasses, cameras flashing everywhere. That story just hit a giant scratch on the record, and the one who flipped the table? Ryan Clark, ex-NFL safety, turned truth teller with zero filter.
Sanders get damn near killed for 2 years at Colorado. And I never saw him berate a lineman on the sideline. I never saw him cuss or scream at a coach. And you're hearing these things like entitled and these little pieces of the characteristics of his personality when we had a #1 overall draft pick get arrested for being orderly and drunk. And we had more people coming out and saying, okay, here is who the real Baker Mayfield is. Don't watch this video.
He kicked down the door and tore into the Sanders saga like it was personal. At this point, Deion might need a helmet instead of sunglasses. For a year straight, the Sanders family has been running football like a Hollywood production. Shedeur wasn't just under center. He was the star of his own Marvel-style origin story. Custom iced-out watches, NIL deals bigger than some rookie contracts, and a hype train louder than a packed Colorado student section after one of Deion's fiery pep talks. The dynasty was rolling full speed. Until now. Deion had the media eating straight out of his palm, like every press conference was church and every soundbite was scripture. Shedeur wasn't just a quarterback, he was the anointed arm of destiny, the one the NFL was supposedly waiting for. And for a minute, it really looked like the league was ready to roll out the red carpet. First round buzz, check. Top 10 projections, double check. Whispers of him leapfrogging those so-called traditional QBs, the stiff robotic types who bore you to death but somehow win games. Oh, they were supposed to step aside for the Sanders show. But then reality refused to take a back seat. The season kept rolling, and every new week in Boulder turned into another episode of Disaster TV. Sack number 53, check O-line meltdowns that looked more like comedy sketches, double check. Suddenly, scouts weren't drooling, they were squinting. Shedeur went from golden child to dude holding the ball like it had unpaid rent.
Another way to say it, there's only one you though.
Thank you.
And you say you leave hope behind, but so many people felt like when Primetime left, so did that hope. That people, the Under Armours and the ESPN game days, they came to Jackson for Coach Prime.
Right.
And when you think about HBCUs now moving forward, not only just Jackson State, but the entire SWAC, what is it that they can take from kind of the blueprint that you left that's usable without your name?
Let's go on the field first. #1, you got to have a quarterback that can throw the darn football to win.
Pocket presence? Please, try pocket absence. NFL front offices started whispering the unthinkable. Was Shedeur really NFL ready, or just really good at making viral moments? And then boom, enter Ryan Clark. He didn't just share an opinion, he unloaded a professional roast disguised as analysis. Forget hot take, this was an ice-cold shower, while the world was still hypnotized by primetime glitter. Ryan Clark said the quiet part out loud, and the whole table shook like an earthquake. When Clark speaks, NFL circles don't roll their eyes, they lean in. He's not some random studio screamer chasing clout. He's plugged into the system, the whispers, the late-night calls. He knows how draft rooms freak out, how GMs sweat bullets, and how coaches turn into caffeine-fueled maniacs trying not to draft the next $1 million bust. So when he looked at Shedeur and basically said, "You're not it yet," oh, the room froze. That golden first-round glow? Gone. Those top 10 headlines replaced with whispers of maybe day 2, or worse, maybe day 3 if things keep sliding. The dream went from red carpet to waiting room vibes real quick. And Deion?
As far as Shedeur, and the Sanders family, we talk about collusion. They brought up race. They talk about the arrogance and his confidence. It's okay to be confident, but if Shedeur was as elite as, people had spoken him up to be, he'd have gone first round. To slide 5th round was crazy to me. I'm not sure how it got to that point. The good thing is this: I do trust in God's timing, and Deion's always talking about faith.
Oh, he wasn't having any of it. You could almost hear his teeth grinding through that signature smile. See, here's the problem. Deion's confidence has always been bulletproof. He built a career gambling on himself and cashing out every time. But when it comes to Shedeur, that confidence mutates into a fatherly force field. In Deion's mind, nobody touches his kid. Not scouts, not analysts, not even cold hard reality. So of course he fired back, painting the NFL, the same league known for chewing up quarterbacks and spitting out cleats, as if it's somehow scared of Shedeur's swagger. Sure, coach, but here's where it gets juicy. The harder Deion pushes his narrative, the more the NFL pulls back. GMs don't care about emotional pressers or flashy speeches. They want tape, they want grit, they want to see what happens when the glitter fades and the lights go dark. And right now, Shedeur's highlight reel feels less like a quarterback resume and more like a Michael Bay trailer. Big explosions, flashy edits, but not much structure holding it together. Let's drop the receipts. Stat-wise, Shedeur wasn't trash. His numbers were decent. On paper, he looked solid, but football ain't played on Excel sheets. It's played in blood, sweat, trenches, and collapsing pockets where survival is the only stat that matters. When your body's screaming no and your coach is yelling yes.
Maybe it's my algorithm, but I see Shiloh and Shedeur more than I've ever seen any undrafted guy or 5th round guy on social media in the history of Instagram, Threads, Twitter, X, whatever it is. Like, those dudes are everywhere. And they caught some of Deion's strays, right? Deion had a level of greatness that was untouchable, right? Deion could say, yeah, I'm not interviewing with these people because I'm not going to be there in the draft. Deion could say, hey, I already ran 140. I ain't effing with no more of this testing because y'all already know I'm top 5 and it ain't tripping. Watch the film, know who I am. That's the difference between, I think, Deion and who his kids were.
That's when the truth shows. And the truth? Scouts saw a quarterback still learning on the fly. Not a polished product, not a savior. Just a talented college kid fighting through a rebuild era that feels more TikTok than textbook. And that's before we even look at the draft class breathing down his neck. 2025 is stacked. Caleb Williams out here, pulling Jedi mind tricks on defenses. Drake May firing lasers like he was cooked up in a quarterback factory. J.J. McCarthy, somehow both boring and efficient. And guess what? NFL execs love boring if it wins games. You can't Instagram your way into the first round. You can't vibe your way into a starting job. The league doesn't care that your dad is primetime. It only cares if your reads are sharp and your footwork ain't out here freestyling like it's open mic night. But here's where it really gets wild. Deion ain't backing down, he's doubling down. Word on the street is Colorado's about to reload heavy. More talent, more weapons, and maybe, just maybe, some linemen who'll actually block somebody this time. Next season, it's being hyped like Shedeur's official comeback tour, the final act before the NFL makes its judgment. And the stakes?
Why didn't Shedeur get drafted in the first round? Number one, he didn't code switch. What do I mean he didn't code switch? Shedeur Sanders did not change his identity or how he comes off. He did not change how he comes off for the sake of the decision makers. And who are decision makers in the National Football League? Primarily non-minorities, primarily white people. He did not code switch. He stayed true to Shedeur. I played with a dude, and Shady's talked about this before on one of his podcasts, a dude named Rock Carmichael. He played defensive back for the Eagles. Rock Carmichael was told, you need to cut your hair while being in the NFL.
They've never been higher. This ain't just about highlight reels or fan hype anymore. Every single snap is an audition. Not just for the fans in the stands, not just for the haters online, but for the scouts with clipboards, the coordinators with game tape, and the GMs who hold careers in their hands. One wrong read, one ugly sack, and the whispers get louder. Is he really built for Sundays or just Saturdays under the college lights? And here's the real kicker. This isn't only Shedeur's story, this is Deion's grand vision on trial, his bold, brash, watch me flip the system master plan, the media empire, the swagger renaissance, the gospel of prime time itself. If Shedeur cracks under pressure, it doesn't just hit his draft stock, it dents the whole prime brand. The same brand Deion's been selling like it's gospel truth. Which brings us right back to Ryan Clark. The man didn't invent the criticism. He just said it first, and he said it loud. And that was enough to flip the script. The emperor ain't naked. But let's be real, that draft armor of his, it's looking patched up and flimsy. Now we've hit that part of the movie where the camera zooms out, the music shifts dark, and you suddenly realize, oh snap, this ain't just about one dude tossing spirals. This is draft fallout, and Shedeur Sanders is dead center in a storm made of hype, hope, and hesitation. Right now, mock drafts look like a Vegas dice roll.
Yeah, teams in drafting say anything is first-round talent. And the quote we played and that's on the screen, I think is flatly wrong. We all know this shouldn't have happened. Yes, it should have. It should have happened because this wasn't. Now, again, teams can be wrong. The league as a whole can be wrong. Hell, the Baltimore Ravens drafted a 25-year-old tight end before they drafted Lamar Jackson in the same draft. The die is not cast on who Shedeur Sanders will be. The die is cast on what the NFL thinks of him.
Unpredictable and nerve-wracking. 1 second, Shedeur's hovering in the late first round like he's about to cash in on all that primetime shine. The next, he's free-falling into the third like somebody unplugged his controller mid-Madden game. It's the NFL version of matching on a dating app but then ghosting before the first text. The interest is there, but the follow-through, not so much. And the competition? Brutal. Caleb Williams looks like a video game cheat code walking. Drake May, smooth as butter with a rocket arm built in a lab. J.J. McCarthy, boring, steady, efficient. And NFL execs love that boring consistency more than flash. Then you got Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix.
You're a fifth-round draft choice, right? And it's some of the decisions you have made, and it lends credence to the criticism that he received in the pre-draft process, right? Didn't show up, prepared in meetings, didn't catch intentional mistakes, right? All these different little things that came out during that pre-draft process. And this is one of those situations. I was a 10th rounder. You're keeping your nose clean. You're making sure you do everything the right way because being a late round draft choice, he's a late round draft choice, a fifth rounder, nothing is guaranteed for you.
Old enough to babysit some rookies, but playing like grizzled gridiron wizards casting spells on defenses. And then there's Shedeur. Talented, precise, and tough, no denying that. But the gap? Those other guys are climbing ladders while Shedeur's stuck in the maybe zone. Maybe he's the real deal, or maybe he's just Deion's kid riding the prime brand. And in an NFL war room, maybe doesn't buy you a franchise. It buys you a clipboard and a headset on the sideline. This ain't just about a playbook anymore. Coaches today don't just want arm talent, they want CEOs in helmets. Field generals who can rally a locker room full of grown men juggling mortgages, baby mamas, and alimony checks. And here's the question burning up scout circles. Does Shedeur have that grit, or is he just building a social media empire while the grind takes a back seat? Because yeah, Shedeur flashes brilliance. No denying that. But when your pre-draft highlight reel looks more like a high-budget music video than game tape, NFL decision-makers start side-eyeing. Are you chasing rings or chasing camera angles? And then comes the biggest twist in this whole story, the Deion factor. It's the ultimate cheat code and the ultimate curse at the same time.
I'm so glad we brought this up. So I text my brother, Chris, and I said, problem with Shedeur is Deion is so closely, entangled in Shedeur's career. But most of the time, if you draft him within the first 1 to 15, your team is shitty.
Right.
Yeah.
So now the season starts, and you have Shedeur on the bench, and your team is already shitty. That's why you drafted early, and you're losing 3 or 4 games in a row.
Easily.
And now everybody's like, "Yo, put Shedeur in," right? But now the coach is on the hot seat. Who do you think is the first person they're going to think of to hire as their new coach? We got Shedeur sitting here. Deion's going to come in and bring so much more fanfare, so much more eyes, so much more money. So you realistically, if you're a coach and you draft Shedeur in the first round, you are drafting your successor.
Sure, it opens doors. Everybody picks up the phone when Prime calls, but it also paints a bullseye the size of Texas on Shedeur's back. The microscope is so intense, it makes playoff pressure look like recess. Every single mistake gets blown up. Every single win gets brushed off as Daddy Deion did that. Imagine trying to breathe under that. And here's where it gets cinematic. Colorado is reloading heavy. Deion's out here recruiting like Thanos, grabbing infinity stones, stacking linemen, wideouts, and even salty ex-SEC dogs hungry for revenge.
Let's talk about what just happened to Shedeur Sanders, because it's not just about football. It's about power, race, and how black athletes are still punished for refusing to know their place. A year ago, Shedeur was being talked about as the potential #1 NFL draft pick. And just last weekend, Colorado retired his jersey number, a rare honor. And yet, when draft night came, Sanders wasn't picked in the first round, or the second, or the third.
And let's not get it twisted. The stakes aren't just about Shedeur. If he fails, the headline will read, "The Sanders experiment crashed." But if he rises, if he drags Colorado to a winning season, storms back into top 10 talk, and proves the doubters wrong, that's not just a win. That's primetime prophecy fulfilled. And Ryan Clark, oh, he might just have to eat his words on national TV one day and admit, yeah, the kid's actually got that dog in him. Because whether you love Shedeur or doubt him, one thing's crystal clear. He's not just fighting for a draft slot, he's fighting for a legacy. And this saga, oh, it's nowhere near finished. It's only getting more dangerously interesting. Here's the twist. The Sanders clan doesn't crumble under pressure, they thrive in it.
I'm going to be honest, man. Like, if you're laughing about this, like, you're probably kind of a piece of garbage. Like, this is not good. And unlike some guys who, quote unquote, get wrong advice. Sure. He didn't get wrong advice. He got the advice, and then the team just decided, no, not going to do it. So I don't know what their thought process was. I don't understand it. I'm sure the stories will come out at some point, but this isn't like a kid that doesn't know anything about the draft getting told by his uncle that you should go in because you can get some money. This is a guy who has all the resources in the world and has all the numbers that you need. Like 74% of his passes are completions.
They eat stress for breakfast and they sprinkle it with glitter. So this draft drama, to them, it ain't a setback, it's a juicy new plot twist. Another dramatic episode in the never-ending Shedeur saga. And trust me, the spin cycle is already working overtime. You can practically hear the headlines being cooked up. Shedeur the underdog. Shedeur proving the doubters wrong. Meanwhile, Deion's out here smiling for cameras, saying we love the hate, while secretly dialing up 5 new linemen, a documentary crew, and probably a backup hype man, just to make sure the Sanders machine keeps rolling. So now the question hangs in the air. Is Shedeur Sanders really the next NFL star, or just Deion's biggest gamble yet? Is he the underdog waiting to flip the whole draft board, or just the headline act of a Hollywood-style football experiment? The hype is loud, the doubts are louder, and the truth is coming whether they like it or not. And I gotta know, what do you think?
Personally, the NFL is not basing shit off talent. If you're basing on talent, you're not gonna say it was 142, 143 niggas better than the nigga, period. This was personal. I think that Deion says some things like he didn't want his son to go to a few different teams, and them niggas all talk like, who is Deion to say X, Y, Z, etc.
It's not like who I would like for him to play for. It's a couple teams that I won't allow him to play for.
Is Ryan Clark right to call him out? Or is Shedeur about to silence every critic in the league? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this debate is only heating up. If you rocked with me through this whole breakdown, make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this with somebody who needs the full story. And don't miss what's coming next. The saga of Prime Time and his dynasty is only getting wilder. And trust me, you won't want to miss the next chapter. Because if there's one thing we've all learned, it's this: Prime Time never goes quietly. But the NFL? The league doesn't care about loud or flashy. It doesn't care about sunglasses, speeches, or gold chains. It only cares about one thing: wins, tape, and cold-blooded execution. The countdown to the truth starts right now. And this time, the truth might not be dressed in glitter or rocking a chain around its neck. So let me know. Is Shedeur really the next big thing, or just Deion's boldest gamble yet? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share this with someone who needs to see it, and I'll see you on the next one.